Hello everyone, this is Terry from Yankee Gaming TV, and this is our review for Yokai Watch 2019, episode 20, a plot between gym creatures. I was gonna say Jim and Yon, because they're both not Jim and Yon. Good job, level 5, you were original for 5 whole minutes. Technically, this entire episode felt original, fresh, and it all had a plot. Minus Koma-san and Komajiro existing in this episode. They didn't need to be here. But that's just a initial thought after just watching it. We didn't need the police scene at the end. This episode starts off with what I would call a showcase of sorts. You know, a show that would be on television, either, well, I'm trying to think of a good way to describe this. The show they were watching was like, I don't want to say Wheel of Fortune, but it's like a midday afternoon game show type of deal. Whisper comes out with his Y-pad, and they value Whisper and his Y-pad in the negative billions. Well, I exaggerate and say billions, but Whisper and the Y-pad just had no value to the actual show. For what the announcer and the contestants had to say. But then we get Black Daimon, right? That is who that is. Which is wonderful. Comes out with his sword of swordings. His weapon that he headbutts into poor defenseless enemies. And it gets appraised for trillions upon trillions of dollars. But as this is all basically going on and everything's kicking into effect for this little show, the lights dim and kind of flicker off. And then we have the appearance of two of my favorite yokai, Snow Specked Hair and Agent Specked Hair. I know they're reskins, but they both have two different voice actresses, so yeah. And plus Molar Petite is there. Molar Petite is, I'm pretty sure, a new yokai from Yokai Watch 4's DLC, which is good. Excellent job, level 5. You're actually promoting a yokai that is actually in the game you just released. I am proud of you. So they steal the sword, and because of this, and because of the fact that the episode needed to have a gag, Black Diamond Yan handed his arc to Nate and then headbutted Whisper through the floor, because headbutts is this guy's thing. And I might be even calling him the wrong yokai. The Yokaipedia didn't really have anything. Like, the wiki had stopped caring, is what I'm trying to say. And I know they said his name multiple times, but with me not feeling well, it does kind of make focusing on listening to something without actually having a little bit of subs a tiny bit more difficult than what I was really expecting. But I do digress. We're moving on. With this all said and done, with the arc in hand, and with the new hey, we should sell this new arc holder advertisement done, we go on a quest to find a sword, the Shadow Sword. At least that's what I'm calling it. I know it has its own special name, but the Shadow Sword is nice, sweet, and short. So, as the plot progresses, we basically sneak to the lair. The bunny house is what I'm calling it, because it looks like a bunny head. Kind of like how that when we did Yokai World's Best Idol, it kind of looked like a cat head for both Jibanyan and Tamnyan's little agencies. Similar situation to the house of Agent Spectaire and Snow Spectaire and Mother Petite. We get a small scene of them relaxing a little bit, enjoying a nice little ice pop, basically kicking their legs up, relaxing, realizing that they were successful at capturing the sword. Mother Petite seems very, very proud of herself. And we get a small scene transition where someone decides to go up to the door and knock. But Nate and company saved the situation from being much worse than what it already looked like. So they tried to sneak around to a window which appeared to have been opened by our Black Diamond friend. And we get a really funny scene of both of the bunny girls, both Spectaires and Mother Petite, and Whisper going boo, 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 trying to trick them into thinking it's a wild animal, like a wild boar or something to that equivalent. And they fell for it, and Whisper is like pumping his arm up and down in like happiness and celebration. We have to give this to Whisper. He carried the episode comedy-wise. So they sneak down into the basement behind the house. Their first opponent is Agent Spectaire. I keep wanting to say Hair Spectra, but that's not right. And just because I have the wiki up, Bunny Minto, or Agent Spectaire, they should have just left it as Bunny Mint. It kind of makes sense because of her hair and her ears being kind of greenish. While I'm thinking about it, I want to see Suno Labi. Okay, there's no simile between Snow Spectaire and Agent Spectaire. I thought there would be a simile or some sort of similarity. So Agent Spectaire and our team gets ready to duke it out, but Black Diamond decides to chisel off pieces of his armor after being charmed by this bunny girl, and he presents it to her. She's blowing kisses at him, making him melt, and then he headbutts her, knocking her out, because that is his gimmick. And it's great to see a character with a gimmick that actually sticks. And when I say a gimmick that sticks, something that feels consistent for that character, because he's headbutted basically everyone at this point, or working on it. So we head into Snow Spectaire's lair, and Nate gets ready to summon our girl, Fubuka Hime, or Frostina, and right as he's ready to pull out the arc, Whisper Falcon punches him. I know it's not a Falcon punch, but he punches Nate as hard as he can, sending Nate to the ground. So Whisper then hands him the arc of Ruby Komashiro, which she stole. And also, Ruby Komashiro is not in the Yokai Watch wiki, or wikia, as far as I can see. I kind of looked a little bit. So we get Ruby Komashiro and his spear, or lance, whatever you want to kind of call it, but to me it looks like a spear. And he basically takes down Snow Hair Spectra, or Snow Spectre, I mean, by heating up the room. It wasn't really Mortal Kombat to a certain degree. He just melted every little bit of snow, causing her to shout, "I hate warmth," or warm weather, and leaves. So upon this going on, they enter a new room after Whisper is headbutted down into the sub-basement. Ruby Komashira trips and follows Whisper down the hall. And Nate Jabanian and our Black Diamond Prince here find the Shadow Sword, or I think they were calling it the Nekomata. So they rush over to get it, and then Black Diamond realizes that it was a trap, it was a fake this entire time, and Mulder Petite in the spectators steal Nate's arcs and arc holder, and plot, and all of a sudden you hear a alarm going off. Turns out Whisper and Ruby Komashira find the real sword, and Nate summons them with the arc that Whisper had stolen. But because he didn't have that on the arc holder, he had it in his pocket. Both spectators and Mulder Petite get inside a Usopion looking mecha, getting ready to take them down. But the combined efforts of Ruby Komashira and the Black Diamond were able to take out the mecha. Basically, when you throw your sword and then you headbutt it through a mech, it means you're pretty much amazing. So the last scene is Mulder Petite and both spectators on the ground outside of the house that kind of exploded because of so much power. And Nate asks them why they stole the sword and why they stole his arcs and arc holder. Mulder Petite is basically in love with Emma, and Emma was talking about how Emma wanted to eat an apple, and she wanted to use the arcs as like toothpicks for the apple, and wanted to use the sword to cut the apple. Then the cops come. Cop Koma-san, Cop Komajiro, instead of arresting Mulder Petite, Snow Spect Hair, Agent Spect Hair, they arrest Whisper for stealing Ruby Komashira's arc, which is hilarious. So I guess the villainous team of Mulder Petite, Agent Spect Hair, and Snow Spect Hair are still going to be on the loose. Very solid episode. This is by far the best episode of the series for the 2019 run of Yokai Watch. I would recommend any Yokai Watch fan to watch this particular episode, even though it did not have character development between Nate and Katie. It did have character development for Whisper a little bit. It had character development for Mulder Petite, which they needed to really establish Mulder Petite plot-wise and within the Yokai Watch world, so this episode does kind of do that. All in all, with me saying this was the best episode of the series thus far, we still have a far way to go for Yokai Watch to kind of redeem itself from what has essentially been kind of a really slow start into plot-based episodes. All in all, if moving forward from episode 20, which is this episode continuing onward, if there are plot related like this, then level 5 is listening. and they do seem like they're starting to care. And that's been it for this episode review. You guys have yourselves a wonderful rest of your day. Stay positive, and may your week be full of blessings. Bye bye.